right after the Revolutionary War, there was a lot of achievements with George Washington's presidency and John Adams' second presidency. But we're going to jump ahead to the Louisiana Purchase. Okay, this happened in 1803, about 10, 15 years after the Revolutionary War finished up. Okay. At the time, the key people involved were Thomas Jefferson. He was the sitting third president of the United States. Okay. Also was James Monroe. He was going to be president. Later, he would be president number 5. And then Robert Livingston. We've talked about him before. Remember? He was the other guy that helped write the Declaration of Independence along with John Adams, TJ, and Ben Franklin. James Monroe and Robert Livingston kind of set the whole thing up. They went over to Paris and negotiated the treaty that for France to actually sell us the Louisiana Territory. It started with the purchase of New Orleans. There were other people, though, who were opposed to the United States purchasing such a large parcel of land. The Federalists were these main people. This was a group of people that was created by Alexander Hamilton during Washington's first presidency. They wanted a strong central government. Unfortunately, Alexander Hamilton, while he was the first Secretary of the Treasury and he is on money, he never got to be president. He was actually shot by Aaron Burr before that could ever happen. They claimed that the Constitution had set no precedents for how to buy that much land in relationship to other countries. They called Thomas Jefferson a hypocrite, and a hypocrite really is they're saying that he was doing something that had it been Alexander Hamilton, he would have cried foul because a Federalist did it. This was really the early political party system where we had Democratic Republicans, which were TJ and his med, and we had Alexander Hamilton, which were called as the Federalists. What the Federalists really wanted is that they wanted us to reconnect with Britain. They didn't really want us to side with Napoleon, the French, or the Spanish. They wanted to go back to what the strong ties we originally had with the English Empire. So the Louisiana Purchase, when we started purchasing at New Orleans, just to orient you to the map a little bit, the blue areas, we have the Pacific Ocean to the west, the Gulf of California down here between the two slivers of Mexico. We have the Great Lakes up here to the north. Now, I've drawn in today's arbitrary borders. This is the northern border next to Washington, down here in California, Arizona, New Mexico, into Texas. Here's the Gulf of Mexico. No, it says New Orleans, but the arrow points to the city right at the mouth of the Mississippi River down in Louisiana. We have Florida, which at the time was actually Spanish-controlled. And then the eastern half of the United States, through the Appalachians and the Ohio River Valley, was really all we had in 1803. The Louisiana Purchase allowed the United States to double in size, and it's the area in orange. And it extended up the course of the Mississippi River, across what is present-day Montana and the Dakotas, all the way over to northern Washington in the northwest. Now the question is, we just bought all this territory, and actually we got it at the surprisingly cool price of $1 million. Crazy. $1 million wouldn't even buy you a house in Beverly Hills nowadays. Ask Justin Bieber. So who's going to map out such a huge land? Thomas Jefferson said the goal was to find the most direct and practical water communication across the continent for the purpose of commerce. The idea of expanding the American empire, the idea of getting from sea to shining sea, all that stuff was second fiddle. What they really wanted to do was make money. So, enter Meriwether Lewis and William Clark. Meriwether Lewis and William Clark, they were the guys that got to explore this route. They had about 150 people. They had Sacagawea as their guide, and they started here in New Orleans. And they followed the Mississippi River up to its source up here in the Dakotas and the Montana. From there, they had used a portage, which is a land crossing, to the Columbia River, which runs out into Washington. And then they came back. In that amount of time, they made 140 different maps, and they did reach the Pacific Ocean. Like I just said, the benefits of the Louisiana Purchase and the Lewis and Clark expedition was that they made 140 maps. They happened to identify 200 new types of plants and animals along their route. Yay, science. And they interacted with 72 different Native American tribes. And of course, new country, any remaining populations of the French or the Spanish that might have been in the area. We wanted to declare our U.S. sovereignty and flex our military might.